Hi everyone, happy Sunday. Hope everyone's well. This rain this week has been absolutely amazing, but so much, it's been so heavy. But it's a blessing to have rain, so we cannot complain. I hope you're enjoying the last few days of your summer holidays. A lot of us will be going back to school, if not all of you will be going back to school. And I know it's a bit strange because we haven't been to school for a very long time, but we will get through it, and we'll get through it together. So this morning's message, or this morning's lesson that we're going to be doing, we're going to be unpacking the parable of the talents. Now, a parable is a story with a message, with a teaching in it. So it never really happened, but it's a message, that it's a story that's been written to give us a message in it. So we're going to read Matthew 25, 14 to 30. Right, so, for it will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted to them his property. To one he gives 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1, to another 1, to each according to his ability. Then he went away. He who had received the 5 talents went on at once and traded with them, and he made 5 talents more. So also he who had the 2 talents made 2 talents more. But he who had received the 1 talent went and dug in the ground and hid his master's money. Now after a long time the master of those servants came and settled accounts with them. And he who had received the 5 talents came forward, bringing 5 talents more, saying, Master, you delivered to me 5 talents, yea, I have made 5 talents more. His master said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little. I will set you over much more. Enter into the joy of your master. And he also who had 2 talents came forward, saying, Master, you delivered to me 2 talents. Yea, I have made 2 talents more. His master said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. He also who had received the 1 talent came forward, saying, Master, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you did not sow, and gathering where you scattered no seed. So I was afraid, and I went and hid your talent in the ground. Yea, you have what is yours. But his master answered him, You wicked and slothful servant, you knew that I reaped where I have not sown, and gathered where I scattered no seed. Then you ought to have invested my money with the banker, and at my coming I should have received what was my own with interest. So in this parable, we hear that there were 3 servants. So I want us to think a little bit. Who do you think, in this parable, who do you think they're referring to as the servant? Who do you think the master is? And what do you think the money in the story represents? So those 3 questions I'm going to give you time to think about. And in a minute I'll discuss them with you. At the end of the video, there will be an example of the template of the picture that you're going to create. So don't worry about if you don't have ideas on what picture to create. Just go pause the video at the end and you'll see. So in the story, in the parables, they're referring to the master as God. So he is giving us gifts. He loves to give us gifts. He wants to give us gifts. And in the parable, they're referring to the servants as us. We are God's servants. And the money that in the parable is referring to our gifts that God gives us, our talents. Not real talents, like the money talents, but talents that we can use. So in this parable, the message that we are receiving is saying that when we receive gifts, we don't go and hide them away. So some of the gifts, like examples that you might receive, is that you might be a good speaker. going out sharing God's message, or not only those kinds of gifts. You can have a gift of drawing, but you use your gift to make other people happy, and that's using your gift in the right way. It's not hiding it away and never using it. It's taking what God's given you and using it to make people happy. You don't use it to make people sad, because that's not going to make God happy, is it? So if he gives you a gift, say for, I don't know, a gift that you can use something and you use it in the wrong way, that's not going to make God happy. In the Bible, it also talks about the gift of the Spirit. Now, those are things that it's a supernatural that you receive from God, and it works with the Holy Spirit. So you just call them and you pray to ask God to fill you with the Holy Spirit and to receive this gift. So these kinds of gifts are speaking in tongues. That's where you can pray in different languages. In evangelism, where you're brave enough to go out and spread the word and speak about God. And words of knowledge, so we can share encouraging messages from God with others. Faith, we can ask God for more faith. So that's something that's been a journey for this year. A challenge for me is to have more faith, because sometimes I love God. He's my father, he's my friend, he's everything, but sometimes I'm scared and to let God take control of my life, because I like to know what's happening in my life, and I don't just like to let it go by and someone else be in control. But God needs to be fully control of my life, and that's having faith in him. So that's been my challenge this year, is praying to God to fill me with more faith. And then you get the gift of healing, so we can where you can pray and you can heal people. Now, those are the gifts of the Spirit, and you're going to pray today, and you're going to ask God to show you your gift that he's given you. It might be a good drawer, it might be a good singer, it might be a good speaker, it might be a good reader, but everyone has got a gift, and we need to use it wisely. Just like it's saying in the parable that there were 3 servants. 2 of the servants took their talents and they went out and they invested their money and made back double. Then there was that one servant who took their talent and went and hid it in the ground and never shared it, and he wasn't blessed. Those two servants who went out and made more talents, they were blessed by their master. And that's what we need. The more we go out, the more that we share our gifts with others, the more we're going to receive. So that is what we're going to do today. So our task today is that you're going to pray to God to ask him what your talent is, and just pray to him and wait and hear him. If you know what your talent is, that's fantastic. Maybe you can speak to your family and ask them what you're good at, because they will happily tell you what you're good at. And then you can think of ways that you can use your gift. So you're going to draw. At the end of the video, there will be a template. If your parents want to print it, that's great. But if they don't want to print it, and you just draw a template of a gift, so a gift box, it can have a bow on, it can have whatever you want on it. And inside that box, you are going to draw your gifts that you've received for granted, or write. If you want to write them, that's great. But you're going to stick it up on your wall. So in your gift box, you're going to write all the gifts that you've received from God, or draw them, whichever one's easiest for you. Draw and write them if you want to. But you're going to write your gifts in your little gift box that you draw, and you are going to stick it up in your room to remind you of the gifts that you've received from God, and to remind you to use them at all times, because the more we use the gifts, obviously that makes God happy that we're using what he's given us, and the more we sow, the more we reap. The more we use it, the more we're going to get back, the more we're going to be blessed. So I hope you have fun doing it. There's a few examples of templates. Choose whichever one you want to do. If you don't want to do those ones and you want something completely different, that's absolutely fine. But do whichever you want to do. Draw it on a piece of paper, then draw your gifts, or write your gifts that God have given you in your little gift box. Stick it up somewhere to display it. And remember to go out and use the gifts that God has given you. I hope you have an amazing week, and those children who will be going into school this next week coming, I hope you have an amazing time, and I'll be praying for you. I'll see you soon. Bye.